Welcome everybody, it's the FIS World Series.
The largest action sports festival in the world.
16 parks, 30,000 kilometers traveled, 500 athletes. All leads to here.
Firing it out, double bar spin. Holy smokes.
Perfect. Absolutely amazing.
The energy from the fans is phenomenal.
The largest BMX contest in the world.
The Olympics. Who could potentially qualify for the 2020 games?
When the smoke clears, we are going to have a champion.
Konnichiwa from Japan. Hello, this is FIS World Series 2019, and we are live in Hiroshima. I'm Ryan Meyer, joined by Dowell now. Dowell, thanks for coming all the way out here. We are about to get underway. The UCI Freestyle BMX Men's Park Final. It's about to happen. It's the last event out here. You see, we are in beautiful Peace Park, and the sun is scorching hot. Perfect conditions, no wind in sight out here for the Freestyle BMX. It's an amazing event that we have pushed out here in Hiroshima. It's the first stop of our three-part World Series, and I'm very happy to deliver it to you guys right now. You see right there some beauty shots of this incredible city. If you guys are able to make it out here for next year, that would be something amazing that we see. But if you want to join us at any of our other two stops, we're going to be in Montpellier. Stop from 29th of May until June 2nd, then finishing it off October 31st to November 2nd, as we always do in China. That's going to be Chengdu to finish off our three-stop series this year. I'm extremely excited to show you guys what's happened. The other days we had an incredible semifinals, didn't we, going on?
Yeah, the action here is so heated, not only because it's the first stop of the FIS World Series, but the big news in all of action sports, BMX will be in the Olympics in Tokyo 2020. To say the excitement is building on and off the course, an understatement, but nowhere else can you see that highlighted more than the riding that's already taken place here.
Yeah, like we have been touching so often, that 2020, and now we have the FIS World Series sanctioned by the UCI. We are part and one of the biggest moments to be getting a spot into the Olympics there. So, I mean, just touching on things, we have an incredible spot out here in Hiroshima. Some great stuff has been happening in the semifinals. I'm super excited to show you guys that start list and see who is going to be pushing up into the finals right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy to see the level of riding out here. We had the semis, we worked the course down from our 24 riders in the semi down to 12, which will be competing and bringing it to this one-of-a-kind course, Ryan.
So format of that course and of this event right now, we have the BMX athletes worked down into the 12 riders right now.
So the 12 riders are going to be separated into 3 separate heats of 4 riders. They are going to have 2 runs to get it done in that 60 seconds allotment of each run. The best thing is 1 run will count. You can see that number 1 on top of the podium. So the rider with the best single run will give themselves a spot for top honors and top points out here, not only for the FIS World Series, but also for their country as we work towards the Olympics.
So you see right there, this is the difficulty.
Yeah, Ryan, we're looking at our park right here, designed by Hurricane Parks. The rider's going to have to bring the difficulty, amplitude, originality, and style, control and execution, and exploration of the park. I know you can see that on your screen, but what we have yet to see is the rider who's going to bring their own magic out here and deliver the goods in that 60 seconds. Our judges want to see a rider really utilize the course to its maximum potential and bring their run to life. We're taking a look right now at our 5 judges. From the UK, we have Dave Cleworth. From the US of A, Brian Kaczynski. From Germany, we have Marcus Wilke. From Australia, Dave Dilward. And from Spain, the legend of BMX, Ruben Alcantara. Those are going to be our 5 judges. We have such an international panel of judges, but bringing it all together is our head delegate, Bart DeJong, who is doing it for the UCI. He's going to make sure that not only the judges are accurate in their scores out here, but we also have the best playing field for all of our riders that are up to that Olympic standard and caliber.
We talk about Olympic standard, we talk about the UCI, and there's an incredible qualification period moving forward to Tokyo. Can you kind of work out a few things, a few of the kinks, so that our audience really understands? We don't have too much time, actually.
So the way it's going to work, 18 riders are going to make it, 9 men, 9 women. 1 spot is going to go to the host country of Japan. 2 spots are going to come from our UCI Urban Cycling World Championships, and the rest of the 6 spots are going to be determined throughout our series as we go along for the countries. We'll get more into that, but all you got to know is UCI.org for all your information.
Hiroshima, Japan, the city of peace. This is the moment we have all been waiting for, the UCI BMX Freestyle World Cup Men's BMX Park Final. Are you ready to meet your riders? Riding in the 12th position for British cycling, James Jones. Representing USA Cycling, last year's world champion, this is Justin Dowell. Riding for Cycling Australia, Jake Walwork. Last year's champion here in Hiroshima, representing Cycling Australia, Brandon Lupos. Riding for Venezuela, Daniel Dares. The #1 BMX rider in Japan. Get loud for Rim Nakamura. Flying the flag for Russia, Kostya Andreev. Representing USA Cycling, Nick Bruce. Representing the Russian team, Eric Rezaev. Riding for the Mexican Cycling Federation, Kevin Peraza. Riding for USA Cycling, Ryan Nyquist. And your #1 qualifier, representing Cycling Australia, Logan Martin.
Wow, and I want to touch on one thing there. That is the living legend himself, Ryan Nyquist. Absolutely amazing to see him in second place right there amongst all those incredible athletes. He's been doing it for over 2 decades, and as well pushing for hopefully his spot and a chance to be in the Tokyo 2020 Games.
Yeah, Ryan, the energy here is just electric in Peace Park. It's so exciting to see as we build. We're going to take a look right now, though, at Logan Martin's top qualifying run in our semifinal. You're getting a little bit of a preview of the course if you didn't have an opportunity to see it yesterday. So this was designed specifically here in Peace Park, and I'm going to take the opportunity to talk a little bit how there's definitely a lot of box jumps featured in the park, and it's a little more of a linear ride, meaning back and forth, left to right, than last year where we had a bowl-featured course. We're seeing Logan out there utilizing the clock as he's got that 23 seconds down, and Logan was really on his own page out there displaying not only what it is to be a top pro rider, but also his athletic ability, because you can tell he's not even winded right here as he just works through putting trick after trick and banger after banger like that 360 double downside tail whip.
Yeah, some incredible athleticism you said there from the young Australian. No one was able to touch Nyquist's score until the very end, until this last second run from Logan Martin. He's able to deliver under pressure, and he just shows that time and time again. But there was an incredible amount of athletes who came out here for the BMX, and these are the top 12. We're going to go reverse seating order, so from 12th place, this is James Jones, Justin Dowell, Jake Walwork, Brandon Lupos, Daniel Dares, Rim Nakamura, Kostya Andreev, Nick Bruce, Edith Kryzev, Kevin Peraza, Ryan Nyquist, and Logan Martin. Some big names that I want to list right there. Ryan Nyquist, of course, Logan Martin we have defending champion as well. Kevin Peraza, love watching this guy ride. Incredibly happy to see him qualify so high on that list.
We're taking a look at the mugshots, the lineup. James Jones, Justin Dowell, Jake Woolwork, and Brandon Lupos. United Kingdom, USA, Australia, and Australia. We're going to put so much emphasis on our countries out here because riders are competing for their country's spot in the Olympic Games. There'll be 9 positions in the Games. 8 countries will wind up being represented out there. Currently in the points ranking, up to April 20th, USA is in the lead, followed by Australia, Russia, Venezuela, and Great Britain. But right now, doing it for British cycling, coming in a very exciting rider, blasting.
Whoa, that was
huge.
a 360 triple tail whip right out of the gate.
This is James Jones on course, exploding out here as he just goes to the moon.
Wow, incredible amplitude, like you said there, on that flare tail whip into a 360 tail whip to tuck no hander. This is the type of riding we're trying to see out of Jones.
It's so crazy to think that this.
Oh, just getting a bit too corked on that 360 bar spin.
Wow. British Cycling's James Jones going down. Very appreciative that he's able to get up and stand on his own feet right there. James Jones, such an exciting rider. Like we said, we had 24 in our semifinals. We took the top 12 to progress into our final. I had an opportunity to talk to one of his countrymates, Jack Clark, who unfortunately didn't qualify, and he said, I can't believe the level of riding. I thought I gave enough in the semifinal, but it seems like the name of the game as we move towards Tokyo is you got to ride the semifinals like it's a final. That's what we saw yesterday, and James Jones just winding up today, throwing a couple big haymakers in the beginning of his run, unfortunately missing with that right hook, bailing and dumping it out over the step up. But since we have our best run format, Ryan, that run will get thrown away as far as his score goes, and he'll have one opportunity to up the game for his second run.
He's shaking his head with some disappointment there. It's very difficult to not feel deflated after pushing so hard, like you just said, making it into the finals here. But we've seen it done time and time again from athletes like Logan Martin, coming back and delivering under pressure. Sometimes it works better for athletes, so we're going to have to wait and see, and hopefully James Jones can pick that up. Starting off in the rainbow-colored jersey right there from Virginia Beach, California, this is Justin Dowell.
Dowell, the young rider with 3 times around on the handlebars. That was insane while getting that rotation on the hip. We said Justin Dowell is wearing that UCI rainbow jersey. That is a very coveted honor to have. That means that he is the UCI World Champion, which was determined in November last year. And Justin Dowell is doing just that, riding like a world champion. This run is insane, Ryan.
This is incredible riding coming out of the young American right here. Whoa, windshield wiper 360. That's a tail whip to tail it back the opposite way, shredding around that toilet bowl in 360 backwards over the box jump, getting a nice transfer, having some last hooks. That's a 540 double bar spin right there.
Dowell has already thrown gasoline onto this fire. Let's see if he can have the flames keep pumping with 7 seconds to go.
Oh, no. And going for a 360 Twix right there. That signature trick from Dowell. It's a bar spin and tail whip combination at the exact same time. And I cannot believe that he's trying to do that in a 360.
So this is what we're seeing right here. The 60 seconds are so crucial. As we work towards the Olympics, you can see riders already just pouring it on. Dowell with the big combinations. That was a flare with a tail whip over the box jump, the 360 bar spin, tail whip to bar spin in the middle of his run. We talk about the 60 seconds being so important out here. The judging criteria has been stepped up. Judges are looking for perfection. but also the difficult tricks out there. Dowell had both of those things going for him, but he has to basically weigh out the risk-reward factor. He went for that 360 Twix, which is a bar spin and tail whip at the same time, wasn't able to get that difficult trick together. He wound up having that crash and still got a very high score of a 68 considering the crash. The numeric value could be 1 to 100, and Dowell is going to be sitting there with that 68.
Well, if a judge for this was not the semifinals, we are going to definitely be looking for not a 68, but well into the 90s and perfection. That's what the judges are looking for coming out of this finals right here. Jake Wallwork, though, next rider up. He's going to have his chance at the gold here.
Well, if one rider can do it for Team Australia, it will be Wallwork, because last year at our final stop in Chengdu, China, he stood on top of the podium. He had big flips going both directions at Chengdu. Let's see if he brings it. And he's going upside down, flare over the channel.
Incredible distance traveled for that transfer of that. Wow, and a front flip flare, tuck no hander, holding it. Justin Dowell on course there.
Wow, I believe Wallwork also just shoulder checked Justin Dowell, who is standing on course right there. So he's able to thankfully keep rolling at 19 seconds to go. Looking to dig deep, bar spin.
Oh, there we go, front flip bar spin. That's a huge one from Wallwork.
Let's see Jake trying to dig down. Looking for something. That was an opposite direction flare right there. His non-traditional direction. The buzzer is going off. Wallwork is spotting the focus. Hitting a bullseye on a regular flare. Big run for Wallwork. Wow, Ryan, this is crazy. We are 3 riders into our 4-rider first heat. Our athletes are bringing it out here, and the crowd in Peace Park is just reciprocating with huge rounds of applauses out here. This is totally crazy to think that this is our first stop on the Feast World Series, and the only way to go up is progress, progression, and insanity out of this Australian rider. Look at this flare transfer right over the channel. You see he goes past that white mark. Here is a no-handed front flip, and you saw he almost went off course. He actually wound up shoulder checking Justin Dowell. I don't know if Justin was down there, if he would have wound up going into the crowd. Maybe he somehow helped keep him into the field of play, as you would say. So Wallwork right now needs a higher score than that 68. I think it's very safe to say, because he did get that full pull and utilized the whole clock, that it should, in theory, be higher than Justin Dowell's out there. The judges give that numeric value 1 to 100. You see them trying to make sense of the madness. That is Catfish, our on-course MC. He was given a little bit of love to our next rider, fellow Australian Brandon Lupos, you can see at the bottom. And our judges are definitely deep in conversation as they are trying to say, what is the numeric value? And it's a 76.20 for Wallwork.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see if this one stands the test of time, coming up against our Japanese defending champion, the man Brandon Lupos. Let's take a look back at last year. Lupos dropping in heavy.
Absolutely destroying it. Transferring back in the other direction.
From Sydney, Australia, that is Brandon Lupos, and he was ready.
Yeah, Lupos right there, you can see he's putting his head in the place it needs to be, and that is in Peace Park, in the zone. Bar spin coming down. If you see Lupos rocking a jersey as he does a 1080.
Oh my word.
Wow, so Lupos going down right there. I was saying he was rocking the jersey. That's because he is national champion of Australia. We just had a UCI event down there take place, and Lupos got top honors. If you want to know where the events are taking place in your country, anywhere globally, UCI.org, you can see a whole events calendar coming up throughout the course of the year where you can sign up, get your membership, and get on track to potentially compete with Brandon Lupos. So he went for the 1080. That's a full commitment. That is 3 full rotations around. He wound up not getting it fully together and dumping off the side. Now, if a rider does fall, it's their choice if they want to get back up and still continue and compete within their run. Riders know that this is the cream of the crop right here. The gold standard is going on for the finals, and a lot of times if they go down, they'll wind up waving it off because you could potentially get hurt if your head's not in it to complete your first run, knowing you still have your second. But it could definitely be a little bit of strategy. If a rider does put down a first run and they've got a good score, sometimes they'll do more difficult tricks, but in the likes of James Jones, where he had that crash in his first run, this is where the pressure goes on and where we see some riders who are veterans like Ryan Nyquist, who is yet to ride, really excel. So let's see if the young James Jones is able to follow in his footsteps and turn things up.
Wow, incredible. Keeping that same huge banger of a trick, that 360 triple tail up 3 times around. That's 4 tricks in 1. And that massive amplitude for that flare tail up into that 360 tail up to tuck no hander and bar spin to tuck no hander. He's really making me use my lungs on this one as we come up into the step up. That's where it went wrong. The dump 360 bar spin into a 360 downside tail whip.
Jones is such an exciting rider to just really explode out onto the scene last year as far as the Feast World Series is concerned. Jones doing it for British Cycling. We actually have Jamie Bestwick, the head coach of the team here, cheering on Jones, definitely giving him some pointers. Bestwick known for dominating the vert ramp, and we see the big airs out of Jones. Smooth and consistent bar spin to foot jam.
Yeah, that's the work that we're looking for from James Jones, and kicking a bit of an unorthodox tail up there, but then as well using some nice lip trips, tail whip into foot jam. Shook his head at the end there. I think he was looking for something back in, but that is going to be a huge improvement from his first run score, that is for sure. This is where things start off. One of the biggest tricks we will see all day, 360 triple tail whip. That's an absolutely incredible feat, and doing that at the start of your run just shows how confident he is on the bike.
Just to break that down for a moment, I know we have a lot of new fans of BMX, first time being exposed, and it's maybe hard to break down how difficult that is. Well, the tail whip was first invented by Joe Johnson. It was 1 rotation of the back end around on the bike. Years later, it was put into the 360, and for years it stayed that way. And one of our head judges, Ruben Alcantara, was actually one of the first in competition to do that 360 triple tail whip. I know a lot of riders know Ruben from being a style master and recreating how to actually do a wall ride on his bike. We actually saw in the women's competition a rider pay homage to him out there. But that triple tail up is so difficult because you got to hold on, and Jones getting paid off with a big score of an 85.
Wow, so that's a big one, pushing in, not quite into the 90s, but a very solid one. Coming out of heat number 1, and a great redemption in the second run. But we go back to the rainbow-colored jersey, all the way from the United States unit for USA Cycling. This is Justin Dowell pushing forward for his second attempt.
Everyone watching along, get ready to scream at your monitor as we've got Justin Dowell looking to pour things on big time for Team USA.
360 triple bar spin, actually 450 triple bar spin as that was over a hip. Beautiful flare whip right there, tapping a foot down. Oh, how can you
crazy
get that?
He literally spun the handlebars while he landed.
Gets a Twix, that's a Twix 360. That's a, I can't even explain that right now. Bar spin tail up at once where there's nothing on the bike while you're spinning a 360. And this is where that look back 360, there was a bar spin before that, becomes so incredible because he spins goofy footed, so he gets a click a lot nicer.
Dowell, an all-around rider from Virginia Beach, showing you that he's got all the skills. X up over the hip. These are going to be crucial moments that matter as Dowell goes up over the step-up backflip bar spin. So smooth with that cadence. And at the buzzer, a flare, and Dowell sticks it clean.
Wow, that was the work that we are looking for from Justin Dowell. You see the elation in his eyes and the exertion from his body. Such an incredible run to put down in front of us. Let's take a replay look. I'll try and explain a few of those detailed maneuvers. Here's the one coming out of the bag, that 450 triple bar spin. There's a little foot dab there. He will get a tiny deduction, but here, 360 bar spin to tail whip to late bar spin. That is so incredible. And there's that Twix 360 in slow motion.
Wow, we are seeing the definition of mind over matter out here as Dowell puts down full commitment. That's got to be a very big relief to get the run that he wanted, but I know he's still feeling the pressure until the 5 judges release that score. James Jones with an 85. 15 full points can potentially go up to that 100 even score. Dowell, our 2018 UCI Urban Cycling World Champion. That's why he's got that rainbow jersey. You might have seen in all other cycling disciplines that the UCI sanctions, anyone who's world champion gets an opportunity to wear that jersey. Justin Dowell can wear it loud and proud. Earlier in the day in our women's competition, we saw Paris Benengues rocking the UCI colors as well. Definitely can adore your country right on the chest, and both riders are representing US of A. This is a very big moment right here. I have a feeling we're going to see a very big score as we wait and the pressure and tension builds until it's released.
Oh, I completely agree. And you see there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, the score of 85 set by James Jones right there. Is Justin Dowell going to rival that? I think he's going to have a good shot. And yes, he does, an 87.20. We have a new leader, and his name is Justin Dowell.
Wow. So one thing I want to highlight, though, and really emphasize, you mentioned that he had that foot dab go down. The judges are being extremely, extremely strict as far as point deductions if a rider puts a foot down, and especially if there's a crash. So that's maybe why the score wasn't into the 90s.
Yeah,
I
completely agree with you on that one, Daryl. As we move forward, we have been speaking about how you're going to have perfection. Jake Walworth dropping in with that huge backflip dropping from the sub box.
Wow, Team Australia on course. Let's see, double tail whip transfer. Walworth, as we mentioned, got first place in Chengdu, China. He knows what it takes to get on top of that podium. Doing it for Team Australia, who is currently sitting in second place on our points race.
Beautiful 360 tuck no hander into a front foot flare tuck no hander, Indian grab on Indian air seat grab on that hip, pardon me, and a 360 downside whip here. Let's see what he has. 20 seconds left in his run and still gas in the tank.
Ryan, I like to think of the 20 seconds as the make or break moments, because it's easy for a rider to go empty on that gas tank you were mentioning, but if they're able to keep that throttle pinned and still have the spark going off with big tricks like that opposite flare, that is going to be the make or break difference. And Walworth throwing it up right there. Wow. Ryan, I want to touch a little bit upon this clock and how it works as far as the clock winding down and the 60 seconds hitting. What does it work for a rider as far as that time allotment goes in their last trick?
I mean, it's one thing to be able to come to a skate park and say you can do a flare, or say you can do an Indian air, or a triple tail whip, or even quadruple tail whip. But if you can combine this all into a 60-second run, this is a testament to endurance. And once 20 seconds hit, you have little energy. I'm telling you, not the highest athlete in the world can say that he is not fatigued at that 20-second mark. So to be able to stick it through and make sure that you have big tricks all the way to the end, that's really something the judges are going to take note of.
So it looks like Australia's Jake Walworth is going to have an 80.80. Walworth, again, doing it for Australia with his countryman Brandon Lupos sitting in second overall. Lupos right now is sitting on top of the highest ramp in the park. He knows the pressure's on, but Lupos can deliver the goods. He has won X Games gold medals. He has won FIS World Series stops, and right now he wants to win the first one in 2019.
Yes, and that's where it went wrong for a defending Hiroshima champion. Wow, 900 into a double backflip and a front flip on the small speed jump, coming back into the box jump with a huge cash roll. An absolutely incredible second run coming out here, delivering under pressure, 360 double tail whip backwards on the box.
If the reaction of our crowd here in Peace Park is any indication of the level of Lupos' riding, it's nothing short of fantastic. There's everybody erupting, showing the support from Japan to our Australian rider. Lupos setting up here. Let's see what he's going to do. Double tail whip. Lupo's looking to dig deep. This is that gas tank we're talking about. Opposite wall ride, quarter to quarter, looking back over the hip.
Still getting tons of height there, and we have time. 4 seconds on the clock. One more. Whoa! An absolutely incredible run, and we talked about pushing it down to the buzzer. What an amazing performance delivered under pressure for the Australian Brandon Lupos.
Lupos wearing that Australian national champion jersey, loud and proud. Talk about putting an exclamation point at the end of his run. That was a 900. Look at this, 1080, 3 rotations around. Backflip 2 times over that step up. You are not traveling that far, and then firing back with a front flip. He had a cash roll in his run. The entire run was a highlight reel. We are cutting tricks out that were unbelievable in the run just to make room for tricks like this 900.
And moving forward, we still have 8 incredible athletes to come, but I'm telling you, we just saw our first score into the 90s. We're gonna have to wait and see what the judges say, but I'm calling that one. Brandon Lupos, our defending champion, he knows that he had to get work done, and he's going to be applying a ton of pressure for the remaining 8 riders. Heat number 2 is on deck, and we'll be getting to that right after those judges can tally up and tell us where Lupos is going to stand.
You can see right now next to our judges, our Catfish MC was
massive score
with that 95.80. Wow, Lupos just making it happen out here, 95.80. Wow.
Our first score into the 90s and well into the 90s, a 95.80. That's going to be an incredibly difficult score to beat.
We talked about our on-course MC Catfish just being flabbergasted at the run. He was equally impressed with that score. You could hear him say the highest UCI score that we have had at a FIS World Series, a 95.80. So Brandon Lupos firing back when it counts. We are seeing if a rider falls in his first run, it doesn't necessarily matter if they could bring their game face and stay in that state of mind to deliver a big hammer in their second run.
There you see wall work pushing off Dowell from the front there, and as well that front flip bar spin. We're just taking a couple replay looks at the absolute insanity from just heat number 1. This was the bottom qualified heat moving into this final, and we just saw, like we said, one of the largest scores, the largest score in FIS World Series history done in a final right now, and there is still 8 riders to go. Here we have a couple of replays still moving into the second heat here. That incredible 360 bar spin to tail whip to bar spin.
There's a look at that double tail whip step down transfer, the flare across the gap. Wow, Australia out here representing huge. So as of April 20th, coming into our stop right here, again, the countries are competing, not necessarily for the riders, but for their position in the Olympics. USA in the lead, Australia in second, followed by Russia, Venezuela, Great Britain, and Croatia. Let's look at the lineup right here. Daniel Dares from Venezuela, the sensation from Japan, Rim Nakamura, Russia's Kostya Andreev, and last but certainly not least, doing it for the US of A, Nick Bruce.
And speaking about Venezuela, Daniel Dares, a man who needs no introduction and has had highlights for every event in the sport of BMX. Let's take a look and see some of the best moves from Daniel Dares at the FIS.
So Daniel knows he's going to have to throw a big run out of his hat. Everyone back home as Daniel lets a no-handed 720 rip over the spot and a flare at a lot of height.
Let's hear for Daniel Dares!
Dares with a double tail whip, but it was crazy the way that he just blew a big transfer going ollie-oop into the camelback.
That's amazing. Daniel Dares, some of the big stuff coming out of 2018 on the FIS World Series. As well, he is the first rider to drop out here and trying to make his contention for the Tokyo 2020 Games.
Daniel Dares, no stranger to the podium. X Games gold medals, Dew Cup champion, and he's been the winner of the FIS World Series in 2014 and 17. Last year, he finished in second place, just 200 points behind the Croatian rider Marin Rantish. Daniel Dares likes to be in that top spot. He is a true competitor. Before he drops in, he takes a moment, he grabs his composure, he runs through his head mentally of what he's going to do, and then we see the impossible start to form as he puts together his run through the 60 seconds.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen that one out of Daniel Dares. That was a 720 1-foot can X-up or bar spin. I'll have to take a look back in the replay. But Daniel Dares knows that he has to step up his game and add some new tricks if he wants to stay up top.
Dares generally takes a systematic approach, knowing that the judges want to see full use of the course. We saw him turn around the capsule. Let's see if he winds up doing a flare tail whip up high, coming back at us over the big box jump. What? That was awesome. Daniel Dares floating backwards, 360 double tail whip, off axis 720 coming up.
Beautiful cork 720, like you said right there on the step up, action packed all the way to the end there with that flare X up.
Dares grabbing his breath as he's got 7 seconds to go. Tail whip, bar spin. And a final thought from Dares is going to be a front flip over the spine. Bam!
Wow, that was incredible. You have to contort. We've been speaking about how you hit a spine actually on a BMX bike when you're traveling only a matter of inches forward and going so high up. You have to cut your speed and go to the side. That's why you saw him contort so awkwardly in that front flip, but I think it gives it some incredible style.
Ryan, I believe that might have been a can-can 720, taking one of his hands off right there. I know from our perspective it looked like some action was going on with the handlebars. You guys can log on to YouTube, just type in FISE. You'll be able to see all highlights and recaps after the event to see what Daniel Dares did as far as the madness, breaking it down even further. That was a front flip over the spine. Daniel Dares, one of the first riders to do that over a coping spine in the early 2000s. He'd actually go off axis a little bit and then wind up straightening things back in. Again, there's a look at our judges to the left of your screen. That is Ruben Alcantara from Spain. So excited to have him out here giving his legendary spin to riding and helping our riders progress towards the Olympics. Daniel Dares sitting there thinking about what his score is going to be. He knows he's got to keep his head in the game because this is an absolute warfare to get the top score. Dares with an 88.20, not enough to put him into the 90s, but he's going to have that other opportunity in his second run.
Moving forward for our next rider, this is the living legend from Japan, Rim Nakamura. Let's take a look at his 2018 history in the FIS. Rim Nakamura.
360 triple bar spin.
Justice in China. Oh my word, a 360 double bar spin, top no hander, top bar spin late right there. Absolutely incredible. That's a look back at action that came from Rim Nakamura last year, entering the FIS World Series. And we are live in Japan as a crowd erupts for Rim Nakamura to take the floor for his first run.
Rim coming up and over. Wow, great four-hit combo. 360 tail whip 2 times around on the handlebars. Nakamura, 360 tail whip, kicking it back the other way. 360 no-hander. Rim setting up with that X-up. It's going to be something big.
Wow. Huge 360 double tail whip on that step-down transfer right there. Wall ride over the channel with the bar spin out and a beautiful turn down.
Rim looking to deliver the goods and a 360 triple bar spin. Downside tail whip on the elevated portion over the box. Boom! Great cadence on that downside 360 tail whip to no-hander.
20 seconds left. That's the vital that we are talking about, Daryl. And he has gas in the tank. The young Japanese rider coming back for his second pull.
Rim with that no-footed can-can. These are the make or break moments here. 360 can, wall ride the table.
Has time for one more air, a tuck no-hander, and that's gonna do it for time right there.
Ryan, now how does it work as far as the clock and the 60 seconds running down when that buzzer goes off, of a trick counting or not?
Well, the UCI ruling says that once we go down on the clock, an athlete has to be on the takeoff. So he has to be clearly set up already on the lip for the jump when the clock hits 0 for that trick to count. So as we saw, Rim did not have his line into the lip on that spine jump, so it's not going to count towards his overall score.
Look at the insanity out of Rim. That was a 360 downside tail up. He was able to put his feet right on the pedals with his body positioned perfectly to be tucking over the handlebars and extend both hands off to the side. You can see the Japanese rider with a 91.80.
Wow, our second rider to push into the 90s, a 91.80 from Rim Nakamura. An amazing performance out here for his home country. Moving back up top though, an athlete we can never hold off the top of the fees. This is Russia's very own Kostya Andreev, about to get his first run going. He had a very nice qualification spot and moved himself into the semi-finals here. This is, of course, Kostya Andreev. 1 minute on the clock. It will start as soon as he drops in. And here we go for the 60 seconds. A nice toboggan. And backwards, going from that transfer with the 360 bar spin.
Similarly to Rim, Kostya has that ability to put so many tricks into one air. The big difference with their riding, Kostya sometimes will do it in a technical lip trick, balancing on the lip of the ramp. That is what we were talking about, literally putting 4 hits in one air. And there you go, 360 bar spin, bar spin, bar spin back. It's a tongue twister, but imagine trying to throw that around very smooth. Kostya,
Oh, no. Just missing that a little bit, but holding his composure, shaking the head with some deflation. A nice hand plant there, and it's the last 15 seconds of Kostya run. This is where he usually gets into some technical lip variations. But he does know if he needs to get up on top, he's going to have a perfect run, and that one little bobble is going to cancel it.
Perfection is the name of the game in all Olympic sports. And since this is part of our qualification period, where riders are basically out there for their country to get a potential spot in the Olympics, perfection is going to be the name of the game in that 60-second allotted time. That decade definitely fit that perfection criteria, as Kostya wrapped around the head tube and went right down to his pedals. The score could be 1 to 100. It's not going to be in the higher end because of that bar spin mishap he had during his run, but the judges do need to see where to sit him, and that's going to be in that 7th spot with the 64.20.
Moving to our next rider from the United States of America. This is Nick Bruce on course right now. Ready for USA Cycling, the man who has equally as incredible tricks as Brandon Lupos comes out swinging. Let's see what he has on that box jump. Cork 720, tuck no-hander from Nick Bruce.
Nick Bruce, the USA rider, coming back at us. Backflip, double tail whip, known as the helicopter. Bruce right now, you can see the focus. Tail whip to bar spin, and that was so cool. He was able to throw the bars after the whip. Bruce charging the step up, 360, tail whip, kicking it back to a downside tail whip.
Also known as a windshield wiper right there, and into a beautiful flare on coming back into the box jump. Yes, and a 360 downside tail whip to regular tail whip, doing them both ways right there. Oh, and a little case coming there, and that's going to be it. I think he's going to wave it off because he knows as well he wants to shoot for perfection. All these riders are just on their first run from heat number 2, and they still have a second opportunity to get that perfect bag of tricks out, because they know if they want anywhere close to podium, they're going to have to score in the 90s out there today.
So it's going to come down to strategy. Not only riders throwing every single log they have on the fire to get the flames as bright as possible, But if you wind up putting everything out there and you have a crash like that, your score isn't going to necessarily get you in that top spot. So we're going to see if riders wind up pulling back a little bit to maybe get that first run, get that one score, and at least give them some type of position or placement as far as the 12-seeded riders go, and then pour it on? Or will each rider continue to go like Nick Bruce right there and say, I'm going all in, baby? This is the first stop of the FIS World Series. I want the points for the World Series of FIS and also for the country moving towards the Olympics. So Bruce's score is going to be a 67.80. He's going to be hanging down there with the Russian Kostya Andreev, the two riders in the 60s. We are seeing that is the number that is pretty much given if you have got a great run up to a crash.
You know, it's just incredible, actually. We have Daniel Dares starting up the second heat again for his second run. I just want to touch point on how incredible the crowd is out here in Hiroshima. We're standing right below them, and I can hardly hear myself yelling into the microphone or my counterpart over here, Daryl, over top of this amazing audience.
Daniel Dares, FIS World Series champion, 2014, 2017, and second place last year. That is not a position that Daniel Dares wants to be. He is known for being on top over the last decade and a half of competition, and he wants to turn things up a few notches. Dares' first run was an 88.20. He is just outside of that 90-degree spot, and we are seeing the formula already. He is putting all of his chips right in the table.
We notice in this run that Daniel Dares is bringing tricks to the table that he has not done in contests that I am familiar with. That 360 triple tail whip is not something that we're used to seeing him throw so early here.
Dares lives in North Carolina, where he's got his own BMX training facility, and you can actually go and ride with Daniel in the off season. He has it open as a skate park. Dares right now working the magic as he floats on that 360 double tail whip transfer that we saw from the first run. Dares firing back with a single version of that trick. Dares no-handed flare as the clock goes tick-tock with 9 seconds to go. Dares taking a breather as he comes in, tail whip from the vert wall into the quarter pipe, no-hander. And at the buzzer, there's that front flip again for Dares.
And getting that one you see on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
Ryan, I know you love when I dig deep into the encyclopedia of BMX, so I'm going to do it one more time. The first rider to do the front flip was Dennis Wigham from the UK. He actually used to do it at the old school King of Concrete contest, flying out of the Death Bowl. Years later, Matt Berenger, Tim Fuzzy Hall, and Scotty Kramer were some of the first riders to start doing them in contests and in competitions. Around that time, many riders started to kind of figure it out, but Daniel Dares was one of the first to bring that to a contest, doing it over a spine. I remember at the old school Baco comps, everyone collectively lost his mind when he did it because the way he shifts to the side and then brings things right back to the center. You see Dares up there heavily influenced by the legend Dave Mira. He's riding his signature seat. He's pointing to the back of his helmet saying, Dave, you're still down here riding with Daniel in the competition. And that he is with an 88.20. So Dares right there, his score is not necessarily going to be moving up from his first run.
No, he definitely got an 86, so his first score is going to hold there. And now we go up into our second place man from Japan, getting the eruption of the crowd out here. This is Rim Nakamura going for his second place and second attempt to see if he is able to push out Brandon Lupos from that first place position. Incredible three-trick combination coming out of the Japanese rider, and a 360 tail whip to tail whip the opposite way, known as that windshield wiper.
Rim is absolutely on one as he has the crowd support. It feels like the entire nation of Japan is cheering on the 17-year-old rider as he cranks the turn down over the hip.
360 triple bar spin on that spine jump right there, and getting speed for the box jump one more time with a 360 downside whip to tuck no-hander.
Rim Nakamura, 720 with the bar spin.
Holding his energy past that 20-second mark, and here we go into the last couple of tricks of this run.
Rim digging deep, trying to get that endurance going as he's got 4 seconds. Wall ride up, bar spin over the hip, and at the buzzer, 360 X up for Rim Nakamura. The energy here in Peace Park, the support for all of our riders, but in particular for one of the brightest stars of Japan's BMX, Rim Nakamura, is unreal.
As we just saw the replay right there, I actually missed that incredible difficulty. That was a 360 bar spin to tuck no hander to late bar spin. That's 5 tricks in one. I think that's the top that we've seen actually in this BMX contest so far today. He's pushing, and he's pushing his hardest to push out Brandon Lupos from that top spot with the 95.80. Is he going to be able to do it? I am not sure, but the score is coming in. It's an improvement, a 92.40. Good enough for second place, and a little bit of a jump past Daniel Dares in third.
So Rim turning some things up in the second run, and you can see he was rewarded by that jump up from a 91.8 to the 92.40. Heat number 2, you can see 2 riders remain of that heat. It doesn't matter if you're in the first heat, second heat, or third heat. The 12 riders are all battling for that top score, trying to get higher than Brandon Lupos, who is our current leader with a 95.80. But right now it is all about Russia as Kostya Andreev starts things off with the toboggan straight into that 360 bar spin, and I love the style on that no-hander.
Getting that cannonball bar spin, an incredibly difficult technical trick right there. 360 tail whip into a triple bar spin air.
How did he just do a triple bar spin right there? In the same way, how did he do a 360 double tail whip to no-hander? Kostya right now is just in the zone as he does a 360 version of that triple bar spin. Kostya coming back at us. There's the truck driver to no-hander. He's switching things up in the first run where he had that bobble. Hand plan on top of the vert wall. Kostya back at us, bar spin on the hip. Let's see if he utilizes that tech ability he's known for. Whoa!
Yeah, Superman C-grab tail whip over the spine and a foot jam. This is the last 5 seconds of Kostya's run. Nice tabletop or a flatty on that hip. And a beautiful 270 bar spin to whip, I believe. Finishing off things strong right there for the Russian.
So Kostya Andreev getting in that full pull. Again, as we said, 9 riders will be making it to the Olympics in Tokyo. 1 spot will go to the host country where they have a chance to choose their rider. Right now it's looking like Rim Nakamura would obviously be their wise choice to do it, but it's up to a country to determine and say. As far as the 2 other spots go, those will be determined for a rider who doesn't necessarily have another competing rider in the FIS World Series with them for their country. So a rider who's maybe representing, let's say, Costa Rica, like a Ken Intencio, would have the opportunity to get that at the UCI Urban Cycling World Championships. And then for the other 6 spots, it's all about the UCI events on a global level. The countries are competing, and the 2 riders with the highest scores for that country will be combined, and that will make up the score for the country. Of that, the country with the top score will be able to bring in 2 riders to the games, and then 2nd through 5th place will consist of the countries with the higher scores behind there. So 8 countries will be represented, 9 riders will be in the men and women's category, and 18 total. Well, right now, he's got 1 bullet in the chamber, looking to pull back the hammer and strike a bullseye. This is USA's Nick Bruce. The big boy from Youngstown, Ohio, Nick Bruce, looking to make things go. He definitely has the pressure on, but we've seen Nick throughout the 2018 series.
Whoa!
Prepare.
Some serious air on that 720. I've never seen a cork 7 that high.
Nick Bruce has the strength and the finesse to get that pump in the transition to bring the height. Look at this, airing in, setting up. So smooth on the 360 downside tail whip to whip back. Right now, Nick Bruce, we just see finding his cadence out there. He's landing in control. He's trying to put minimal pedals in between the ramps, just showing he's got that flow and control out there. Look at this, bar spin back at us. 360, flowing it. Nick Bruce, 5 seconds. What is going to be his final thought? A flare tail whip.
And enough time for one more trick here. That huge 540 flare. Incredible athleticism right until the very end. That big trick on that quarter pipe. An amazing move from Nick Bruce, and we're going to have to wait and see. Does it get up into the 90s? Can it push Daniel Dares out of that podium position?
Now, Ryan, we actually saw throughout the run, there was that 720 off axis at extreme height out of Nick Bruce. Backflip, double tail whip on the step up. Bruce so good on that 360 tail whip, kicking it back. Flare, bar spin. Now, as we're still watching the highlights, I want to talk about his last trick out on the course. He did land a little bit flat on that, and we saw his momentum, almost an E-brake pull. Look at this right here. That 540 flare, he landed low. Thankfully, he didn't crash, and it was at the end of the buzzer. We're going to see how that factors into the full picture out here. If this was a competition a year ago, 2 years ago, definitely 3 years ago, the last couple seconds really didn't matter. But because it's the UCI and Olympics, the game has been stepped up and changed. The expectations are higher than ever, and those last seconds are sometimes what separates our talented riders out here who are just pouring on the big tricks from beginning to hopefully end. So Bruce,
the score coming in there, an 85-30 for Nick Bruce, is not going to be good enough to push into the podium. It was the best work he had out there today, but like you're saying, the level is so incredibly high. These top professionals who are so versed in the sport of freestyle BMX, not able to make it up, compete with some of the top athletes.
So we are here in Peace Park, Hiroshima. If you are just joining us, you came in at the perfect time as we work through our first two heats of riders. We're taking a look at some highlights from the second heat of Daniel Dares. This is the UCI BMX Freestyle World Cup, known as the FIS World Series, as we have the best riders in the world not only competing for the valuable points for our UCI series, for our FIS World Series, but also for our Olympic qualification period, which is taking place from November 1st to May 2020. If you want to follow what rider is going to be one of the 9 for men or 9 for women as far as standings goes, you can stay up to date on UCI.org. You can also find out how to get involved and get your own UCI membership and enter any BMX competition which is going on globally, and see how you can get your own points. Stay up to date on all information and everything else BMX Freestyle as it develops in real time. Highlights still going on from Nick Bruce out there, looking at that 360 tail whip, catching it back to the tail whip. Here is a look at another angle, that time over the box jump. So on course, you can see the next 4 riders who have yet to go. These are our final 4 warming things up here in Hiroshima. I gotta tell you, Ryan, I am so excited to watch this heat. This is going to be such a diverse field as we have Russia's Eric Ryzev, Mexico's Kevin Peraza, United States Ryan Nyquist, and Australians Logan Martin. I know it says US of A under Kevin Peraza, but he is representing Mexico. If a rider has a citizenship in a country, they can choose the one country that they represent, and Kevin is here doing it for Mexico.
So mentioning that, we have a completely global international field for our third and final heat out here, and the Russian Eric Ryzev has definitely come to his own by 2019 in this FIS World Series. It's stop 1, but this man is on a mission. 360 triple tail whip right there, and transferring back with some beautiful style. He loves to link up those combinations, but as well show that he has that incredible ability on the bike. Double tail whip right there for Ryzev, and a 450 bar spin. Coming backwards up into the step up. 360 double downside tail whip and a 360 tuck no hander. pushing forward into this step-down transfer with the truck driver. That is a 360 bar spin, and now he utilizes the left side of the course. The judges really are going to be watching as well for that versatility, hitting all options, all walls, and a massive backflip tail whip right there from Irek Raizev.
Irek Raizev putting down in his first run. We talk about riders representing for their country, because if a country does which rider is out there on course, but the combined score of top 2 riders out there, and currently sitting in 3rd for Russia, it is Irek Raizev and Kostya Andreev's 2 combined scores that total up as of April 20th to be sitting in that 3rd spot. Irek Raizev waiting for his numeric value to wind up coming through and put to his run number 1 as we are checking the box on our first rider of heat number 3. With 3 riders yet to remain as Irek patiently waits to see what his score will be for Russia.
You see that score, 95 is the one to beat. That's an incredibly high score set in heat number 1 by Brandon Lupos from Australia. We have some big names yet to drop. We're just waiting to see how the judges are working out the scores up there.
Ryan, think about how crazy that is. A 95.80, and that was done by Brandon Lupos, who was riding in our first heat. That means, in theory, our riders who have yet to take the course were our highest qualifying riders in our semifinal. They could potentially shake things up a lot out there. Irek Raizev is not going to be able to shake the score up too much with an 83.50, but he is going to have a lot of room to work for his next run.
A rider who's been focusing year after year, coming out of Mexico. This is going to be Kevin Peraza. Let's take a look back and see it, his 2018 season. Kevin Peraza right there, and he had an incredible qualification, ending up in first place and coming out here with a 3rd place finish into the finals from Mexico. This is Kevin Peraza.
Kevin Peraza looking to do it like he did in the semifinal, jumping up, tail whip coming down for the Mongoose rider.
Something you're going to notice, he has a complete dissection of the course here and really utilizes his own style.
We talked about the height of Nick Bruce in that 7, but right there, Peraza over the box, I'm going to say unofficially the highest air we've seen so far. We got Peraza coming back, big extension on that Superman seat grab, just kicking the legs to the side. Peraza looking to charge up, going his opposite direction, hitting the dark side on that toothpick. That's the front peg to the coping. Peraza going channel, setting up for that pocket right into the capsule.
If you didn't notice, he aired into that from the quarter pipe into the capsule. Nobody else on course is doing that, just like a lot of these variations. You're gonna see right here, that's that pedal grind across the side of the box jump. A 180 to fakie.
Peraza pouring it on for Mexico. Being cheered on by the thousands of fans here out in Hiroshima, also along with his girlfriend and his support system from Mexico, Alex Mutante, saying, Kevin, that was an awesome run. Ryan, you and I both feel that way, but the 5 judges are going to determine what that's going to do as far as a number goes. Peraza, we're seeing the height on that 360 tail whip to tabletop. That was all the way up to the sky. And then you can see the finesse on hitting his back peg actually on top of the wall. There's that nose press and then popping the 360 out, but it was all about this air into the honor capsule as he was able to hit the pocket. Here's some originality with that pedal grind. and then the 180 bar spin to the half cab in.
Whatever the score is going to be here, we know actually that Peraza has some more tricks up his sleeve. He always does, but he wanted to get a run out of the bag. Sometimes we call it a safety run, but pushing this far into the finals, not many athletes are wanting to do that. You see there, Brandon Lupos, he left it down to the second run, but it came back and it helped out with that 95. Peraza moves up, and it's our third rider to push into the 90s. That unique style, tackling and utilizing the features in his own way, has rewarded him to be the third rider in the FIS World Series here in Hiroshima to get into that 90 position.
2 riders remain, and our next rider is a household name in BMX. He has inspired most of the riders in competition when they first started. This is the living legend, the rider, Ryan Nyquist.
The most excited rider to get me going yesterday in the semifinals, and here is why. 450 double bar spin. He has that unique way of throwing the handlebars. He has a very unique setup for some of the riders out there, but he delivered a world-class performance yesterday. Oh! Going so deep on that 540 and slamming, missing the transition.
So Nyquist going down right there. That is very unfortunate, but I do have to say, Nyquist, you can see from his bike setup out there, no pegs on either side. He still has that front brake, and the thing that goes beyond his setup is his focus. You don't become a champion for almost 2 decades strong without knowing what it takes. And Nyquist has reset up his focus. He just built some awesome ramps in his backyard in the Carolinas, and this is a very focused athlete. Ryan went down right there, but if there's one man that can do it in his second run when the pressure's on, is Mr. Nyquist. I almost like to think that Ryan always does this for dramatic effect because he delivers when it counts.
He definitely delivers, and we're going to have to wait and see for that second run, but a man who can deliver under pressure time and time again, Logan Martin. Let's take a back look at his 2018 season. Those are the highs and lows. Actually, we haven't shown the lows because, unfortunately, Logan went out with the very difficult collarbone and surgery at the end of last season. Wasn't able to finish it up, but he's back here with vengeance. Nollie bar spin, dropping things off and coming into the box jump with 4 tail whips.
Yes, do not adjust your screen. That was 4 tail whips coming around, and that was 2 bar spins going down in that 720. Logan Martin, the Australian athlete right now, pouring things on as he front flips. Double bar spin 360 transfer. This is insane. Martin doing it for Australia with that 360 tail whip, spotting his landing so clean.
Check it out, that flare tail whip right there. Downside tail whip and going for a one-hand, one-footed flip transfer. This is the 20-second mark. And Logan is coming over into the spine section with a backflip tail whip.
Let's see if Martin can keep that intensity going for the final 10 seconds. As Martin comes to the box jump, downside double 360 tail whip. You see him fishtail to adjust his speed. And it looks like Martin here at the buzzer is gonna put down a 540 flare, and he smashes it clean.
Wow, a heavy hitting run for the Australian. And need I say, this might be a countrywide battle as his countryman from Sydney is on top, Brandon Lupos. That is the score that Logan is really rivaling for. We've seen him be such a fierce competitor out on the FIS World Series for years in the past. Unfortunately, was not able to keep up with that points race, but look at, he's adding new tricks to his vengeance every single time. That quadruple tail whip and some incredible combinations.
I mean, think about what you just said, a quadruple tail whip. That's insane, the commitment over the handlebars as the bike comes around and Logan putting it back on. I did thoroughly enjoy that double bar spin 720, off axis, full commitment, putting the things where it belongs, right down the 2 tires on the ramp, and there's that 540 flare at the end. This might shake things up. Lupos 95.80, holding the score to beat.
And then Rim Nakamura from Japan in second place with a 92.40, and Kevin Peraza from Mexico, the 90.10. All scores into the 90s. Logan is definitely pushing for a 90 in this one. I'm sure he's going to get it, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to push out any of the top 3. We'll have to wait and see. This is a nail biter that we have for a contest. Coming up. And it's a 91.10, 1 point ahead of Kevin Peraza. Heat number 3, the final heat here.
So Ryan, now we're going to talk strategy. Martin put together that big run in the 90s. Same with Kevin Peraza. As we re-rack the deck and go back up to Russia, each rider is going to have an opportunity to really think, what else do I have to put on the line to get that number higher, to bump out Brandon Lupos, who's sitting in that top spot. Eric Reisev, his first run was an 83.50.
Wow, we talk about the amplitude. That was incredible from Eric Reisev right there.
Eric Reisev charging that quick half cab back, coming on that step down. Big transfer on the bar spin at 360.
I keep feeling from this angle he's going off into the crowd, but he has that under control. Wow, so much speed. I believe that was a triple tail whip into a 360 triple tail whip over the box jump.
You can see the commitment as he pumps down that vert wall. Reisev looking to get it done with 15 seconds to go, transferring exit stage right as he double tail whips over the spine, getting inverted. Bar spin 450, 3, 2, and that is time with the hand plant on the vert wall.
A big second run for Eric Reisev. It is probably going to be an improvement, I think, but he's shaking his head with disappointment. Maybe it wasn't everything he was hoping for. That was a massive first jump. He did slip a pedal right there out of the gate. That will be a deduction, and so I do not think this is going to be one of those podium runs, unfortunately. An incredible performance from the young gun out of Russia nonetheless.
Yeah, the fact that we're dealing with a 95.80 from Australian's Lupos, you know you got to put everything you have and you better pull it clean. This isn't just like, oh, I got to put my big trick at the end of my run, or maybe one in the middle, or maybe one at the start. This is the entire 60 seconds. Has to just be stacked, stacked, and stacked, looking for that perfection out there. Our judges are getting ready to basically make some sense of the insanity that we're about to see from our last 3 riders. Definitely different styles. Peraza, Nyquist, and Martin have yet to take the course. They are going to have one final opportunity to knock off Brandon Lupos. The score is going to come in. You see a little bit of support from his Russian counterpart out there. That was Kostya Andreev. Again, they are sitting in 3rd for Russia prior to this event. The 2 highest riders combined scores from the UCI points period belonging to them. That's why they are sitting in that 3rd spot.
So 87.95, an improvement. That's from Eric Reisev. He's going to be sitting, though, in 6th place. Not a spot improvement as we move forward to our third place qualifier, Kevin Peraza. Doing it from Mexico out here, and a man who's tackling the course in a completely unorthodox way and utilizing it to his own fun advantage. The biggest white grill in the industry, Peraza has dropped in.
Peraza charging up on that vert quarter. Opposite tail whip coming in, kicking it the other direction.
Wow,
Bam.
The amplitude we talk about, that tail whip to Flatty, what an incredible trick. That Superman seat grab, getting extension like that is unheard of.
Peraza can tend to lock in the zone in his runs, and that's where we always see the magic happen, and he's doing just that as he worked through his first 30 seconds. Peraza hanging up the back tire a little bit. It pulled some of his speed, similar to ripping on the emergency brake, but he's able to just press down on the accelerator as he builds momentum. Opposite wall ride. Let's see, he's going for that pocket air into the honor capsule.
Backwards with that decade, or the 360 downside tail whip on that box jump, and he has a few seconds left, 5 to be precise, as he goes for that pedal stall and coming for that 180 into half cab whip, and he gets that clean, finishing things off.
Yeah, Peraza getting the love out there from our fans. So cool to see so many of our BMX riders being supported. It's a very difficult thing to be a career as a BMX rider, and Peraza has had a successful one at that. He's actually wearing his own signature Vans sneaker out there. As you see him tail whip the downside to the pedals, putting the foot right on that waffle sole, and look at the height of that 360 tail whip to tabletop. Big
beautiful extension on that. Like we've mentioned, Kevin really utilizes the style aspect and that originality within his run. These are all boxes that the judges have to tick, and so maybe somebody might get off the biggest trick in BMX history, but maybe they're not clicking that style aspect, and that's what Peraza is doing out here, staying with his first run score of a 90.10, good enough for 4th place. And that does it for his chance at the podium, but an amazing performance for Peraza on his second run. As we move forward to the living legend, the man who I used to pick playing as my video game characters as we were doing Dave Mira, this is Ryan Nyquist.
This is such a big moment right now. Every single rider is saying, Nyquist, get out there and make it count with your second run. I like to refer to it as the eye of Nyquist instead of eye of the tiger, because he's got that focus. Nyquist been competing for over 2 decades on top of the podium, and he is riding with the same intensity that he had at the start of his career.
And there's where that 540 held him up in his first run into a backflip double bar spin. He throws the bars so uniquely into that cork 720. Beautiful Nyquist style.
Letting them rip with the double bar spin back into the one-handed X-up. Nyquist doing a suicide no-hander and a 360 double bar spin coming down. Let's see if Nyquist can get his bearings going on that backflip as he lands backwards over the box jump. 540 bar spin on the far end of the course.
Holding it together, 10 seconds left with that backflip bar spin. Here we go, Nyquist. Coming off, does he have gas left up in this tank to get a couple more tricks off? Here's the last one. 360 dump suicide no-hander.
So Ryan out there pouring things on. Unfortunately, not getting that full pocket and staying in the zone, riding the wave all the way out to the end. This time he did stay on his bike, and he basically rode it all the way into the beach, but he did have a little difficulty finding his lines. Let's look at this double bar spin 450 over the hip. You see he just rips the bars around. Here's a look at the 540. First run he went for the bar. This time he just kept them both hands on. There was the backflip double bar spin, and look at the 720 smooth into the top of the landing. And this time he gets that 540 bar spin around right into the backflip bar spin.
Incredible athlete that will go down in the history book. So happy to see Nyquist out here. He's not only doing double duty out there this weekend, he's also coaching the female USA team into their victory coming up into their entrance into the Tokyo 2020 games. The score to beat there is that 95, and Nyquist, he gets a big improvement on 83.80, but that's unfortunately only good enough for 11th place in this incredible finals contest. Now we have one competitor left and one more person who is able to upset the podium. He's already sitting in 3rd place, and he's coming out of Brisbane, Australia. The Tiger, he was not able to finish off last season due to collarbone injury, but he's back on top, Logan Martin.
Logan starting things off, kicking that back end around right here. Look at the focus. Martin knows he's got to make things happen.
Oh, double bar spin in that 720. Logan Martin coming back into the box jump here. The crowd has erupted into this backflip bar spin to tail whip.
Martin kicking that downside 360 tail whip. Let's see if he can just keep it flowing as he flared tail whips on the high quarter. Martin wants to be in that top spot. Perfect body position. Unfortunately, hangs up on that backflip 1 foot, 1-hander and slips some pedals.
And I don't know if that's going to do it, but there was that backflip double tail whip as he loses a bit of momentum. He's coming back into the box jump. It's not going to be enough. And I think going in for and he slips up on that 540 flare, and that's not going to be enough to improve his score. I'll tell you that right now. Currently sitting Logan Martin in 3rd place with a 91.10. An incredible amount of determination comes out from the young Australian, though, in this 2nd run.
Let's take a look at the commitment with the quadruple tail whip coming around. This was a highlight of both of his runs right there. That 720 bar spin catch, bar spin with the rotations. I mean, it's crazy to just look at how consistent Logan is, but the one moment that he wasn't on the course was that backflip 1 foot, 1-hander. His back wheel just kissed the coping and he wound up slipping his pedals, and from that moment forward it basically threw his mind out of the set that it has to be in to ride at that high competitive level right there. So it looks like Logan with the 91.10 is not going to be enough, but right there we are looking at Brandon Lupos.
This is going to be your champion out here for the 2nd consecutive year in a row. Brandon Lupos from Australia delivers a world-class performance, not able to make it work in run number 1, but hits all the dots on run number 2 and comes out with the most elating performance, scoring a 95.80 out here in Hiroshima.
This is such a cool moment for BMX. Our Feast World Series first stop going down huge, and we have all of our fans out here showing the support at Peace Park, just putting the love on as we look at the top score of a 95.80 from Brandon Lupos. The pride of Japan, Rim Nakamura with a 92.40, and Australia's Logan Martin with a 91.1.
Coming out of Heat 1, he had a bad crash in the 1st run and delivered with all the pressure on his shoulders. He was your 2018 Hiroshima champion out here in the finals, and today he is the winner again. This is the winning run from Brandon Lupos. Check it out right here. If you guys missed it, it was in the 1st heat. Things started off huge with that 1080 coming out of the gate, then followed by this massive double backflip.
The double backflip is part of the equation for a score of a 95.80. One of the highest we've ever seen in the Feast World Series, but definitely the highest score that we've had with UCI working with Feast as far as an Olympic qualifier going towards Tokyo 2020. Lupos rocking the jersey of Australia out here, showing that he's the national champion, backflip tail whip over the spine, and this is really where Lupos starts to accelerate with the final 20 seconds. A lot of other riders start to fade off in speed and also consistency of tricks, but Lupos threw that double tail whip transfer on the step down, and then it brought it consistently with that wall ride transfer quarter to quarter, look back over the hip, and then as he charges towards the quarter pipe, he's able to put down that 900 and then that 540 flare. Those two tricks at the end, the 900, the 540 flare, those two big hammers are what help catapult him into that 95.8 spot.
You said it so perfectly, accelerating his performance in the last 20 seconds there. That's really what you can see showcase Lupos' performance away from the others. He stepped up his performance into the end, and he really pushed with those big tricks and showed his athleticism all the way to the very end of the buzzer. I'm incredibly excited to see that performance displayed in front of us, but let's take it down to the awards ceremony. Catfish is down there with our winners.
Hiroshima, Japan. We knew that finals was going to be insane. I don't think any of us had any idea it was going to be like that. Let's meet your podium finishers. In 3rd place, doing it for Cycling Australia, Logan Martin!
Logan Martin!
Your second place finisher in his home country, Rim Nakamura! And your champion here in Hiroshima for the second year in a row, Brandon Lupos! Hiroshima, these are your champions! All right, here with the champion again, Brandon Lupos. What does it feel like to stand on the top of the podium in Hiroshima again?
It feels unbelievable. Like, that run was a dream run of mine, and I can't wait. I'm speechless right now. I'm so thankful to be standing on top of the podium with the best riders in the world, and gunning for that for 2020. I'm absolutely speechless. Arigato.
Well, we know that all of you guys have been working very, very hard in the off season. What was going through your mind after that first crash?
After that first crash, I just, was really bummed. I just got back up and just was like, let's get ready for the second run. And I was just sitting there and I was just like, you know what? Let's not be scared to lose. Let's go win this. And I dropped in and, I just did what I wanted to do and it worked. And I can't be more thankful to be up here again.
Well, you've got a lot of fans out here. What do you want to say to the good fans out here in Hiroshima?
Arigato, Hiroshima!
An incredible performance out there from the Australian. Just a huge round of applause for all our freestyle BMX athletes. An amazing performance and an absolutely incredible final event, Daryl.
Yeah, so great to see Brandon Lupos come out on top, but I loved hearing his words out there. He had that crash in his first run, and he was able to put it behind him and focus on his second run, coming out on top. We talked about the entire 60 seconds of the run, the fact that he was able to put those two big hammers at the end, the 900 and that 540 flare, that's what did it for him.
It's just an absolutely incredible performance, but it puts us into a cool position because we're heading over to the second stop of our tour. This is Montpellier coming up next.
Welcome to one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Hundreds of thousands of fans that are pouring into Montpellier. Yes, I did say hundreds of thousands. This is the big show.
That was a double backflip transfer. That is insane. The largest action sports festival in the world.
You guys see it right there, May 29th until June 2nd. Come out to the south of France, and we'll be there, Montpellier, with their things started over 2 decades ago. It's an absolutely incredible event. What do you have to say about France?
Don't miss it. Get there. That event is one of a kind. It's a big party. BMX is the best. Action sports are the best. And Montpellier is definitely the best. See you in France.
The largest action sports festival in the world. Over 115,000 spectators each day for a 5-day period. Make sure you come out. But if you can't tune in, follow us online. You can get us at fees.official on Facebook. Fees on YouTube, as well on our Instagram and Twitter. On behalf of the Fees organization, myself, Ryan Meyer, and Daryl Now, thanks for tuning in. Arigato gozaimasu, Japan. Welcome, everybody, to the Fees World Series Hiroshima 2019. First stop of this 3-part World Series.